the skin splitting because it rained. So this tomato was ripe and then it rained and it filled with so much water it split the skin. So this tomato is actually fine to eat. It just has these splitting little marks. And if it's left on the vine long enough, this one actually must have fallen off, they'll actually heal up and they look like little scars on the tomato. But they're fine. Tomato's fine as long as it doesn't get bacteria in those little openings. And Bruce, you are. For canning tomatoes, I have my boiling water, and then I'm getting my ice water. I don't have the water in here, but I've got the ice in this big can. So I'm going to put the tomatoes next. I'm going to have my skinned tomato bowl back here, and then this will be for the skins. I'm going to peel them right here. We have the bottles that have been washed. You always want to wash your bottles either by hand or just stick them in the dishwasher, and then you warm them in an oven because that sterilizes them. So you just slip them in here, and that's just the lowest setting your oven goes to. 170 or so is fine. It also dries them, which is handy, so you don't have to pre-dry them. That way they're hot and sterilized when you start putting the tomatoes in them. And that works for any type of produce or jams or anything. It's just putting them in the oven. That's the easiest. You can also boil them in water on top, but I find that space is premium, so I just stick them in the oven because it's open and does as good a job. It's a little easier for me. These are the lids, and they have this rubber gasket. And we're going to heat this up to sterilize the lid and to soften the gasket, so when we put it on the top of the bottle, like this, it will form a really tight seal. Then after we cook the tomatoes in there, there'll be no bacteria or anything in there. And then this will be sealed, and you can tell because right now there's air exchange in there, but when they're done, when they're sealed, then the lid is sucked down on there. And then this collar actually only goes on the bottle for the time that it's being cooked till it waits. So after it's done and this is sucked down there because of all the pressure's changed, then I take the collars off so they don't corrode down in the storage over the winter time. And so this is actually what they look like when they're stored. But anyway, this is what we're going to put in the hot water to sterilize and prepare them for sealing. A little bubbly, just hot enough to be right at boiling. It doesn't need to be like crazy rolling boiling. If you do that, then the water evaporates out so fast that you don't want them to go dry. That would be bad. So that's why I just put it like, you know,
just hot enough to disinfect.
Just hot enough to get it, yeah, kind of sterilized. It's good enough. So that's what we're doing. All right, so we'll fill some water now.
Yeah.
Now, in addition to the tomatoes that are going in, tomatoes are acidic, they're a fruit. We're going to put some lemon juice in them to raise the acidity. There are some different theories on if you need to do that or not, but just to be safe, we put 2 tablespoons of lemon juice to raise the acidity of the tomatoes, because that will ensure that there's not going to be any of the bad bacteria in there. Because tomatoes are right on the line of not quite acidic enough to just use a canner. Then maybe you need to use a pressure cooker, but I'm all over canning just with a canner because it's so much more simple. So I put in the lemon juice just to raise the acid level of the tomatoes and ensure there are no bad bacteria. The other thing we make sure we put in is salt. So this is nice, pickling and canning salt. It doesn't have iodine in it, and so it's not going to create like a milkiness in the canning product. That's why we buy this canning salt. Plus it has a big open top and it makes it easier to pull it out and put it into the bottle, so it's convenient. But that's, you want to use non-iodized salt. A good tomato knife is one that's serrated, and then if it has an end, that makes it easier to core. So anyway, this is a knife I have that I like. There's another serrated knife that we'll have Holly use because she's going to be doing the canning. So when you're picking tomatoes to can, if you can get ones that are smooth and a little on the bigger side, just like these are perfect. And you can wash them if they're really dirty, like some of these are dirty. So I'm going to take them over to the sink and kind of wash them off. And when we get our production line, we'll get this going really fast. But just so that you don't make your boiling water too filthy dirty. But the skins are coming off, so you know it'll be a clean tomato anyway. Well, these are actually pretty clean tomatoes. They're not too filthy dirty. Sometimes when they've been in the mud or it's been raining, they're really dirty. So, you want nice firm fruit. These are actually perfect for freezing. And freezing is another great way to preserve tomatoes. You just wash them off, cut the core off. When you're freezing, you have to wash them off really well. And then stick them in a Ziploc bag, freezer bag, throw them in the freezer, and you're done. So that's kind of sweet. All right, so we're just gonna put them down in the boiling water. And I just do about that much at a time because it's hard to get the basket around them if I put too many in there and fish them out and then they're in too long. I'm just boiling for a little bit here. When it's good boiling water, it doesn't take very long. That's probably about long enough. I'm gonna stick them in fresh water and they'll just sit there and cool down. And then we'll just repeat this process over and over again until we get this nice and full, and then we'll fill that bowl with lots of skinned tomatoes. If it looks kind of like a thing that you need to remove, you just kind of saw it out. There you go, just that skin comes right off as easy as pie. Sometimes if you get this, you have a little sunburn on the top. I usually just take the top off and then I core it. Because they're kind of hard. They don't taste very good. So like that, you just kind of cut that. Tomato butt is what Eden calls it.
Tomato butt.
Just cut the tomato butt off. Just gonna pull a bottle out and we're gonna put some tomatoes in it. So it's a little, whoa. So we're gonna do 2 tablespoons of lemon juice in there.
Real life.
It's real life. Yeah, juice going all over. And then 1 tablespoon of salt. And I just usually put it in the bottom so I don't forget. That's why I do it in the bottom. There's no magic to that. And the only reason I cut this will go in whole, but you want to cut them small enough so that you can fit as many into a bottle as possible. Because if you're going to go to all the work of canning it, you want as many. And usually you want to chop them up. Very seldom do you eat a whole tomato in a bottle anyway. So, I'm just filling it up. If it's a really small tomato, just toss it in whole, but usually they're big enough, we cut them up. So you're gonna get it to where it's really full, and then this is key. You smash them down and let the juice run out, okay? We're gonna fit 1 more tomato in there. Heck, maybe I'll just like do that. There you go. Okay, so that's a nice full. We wipe the rim off. We're now going to grab a lid, and the gasket is nice and soft and it's sterilized. Put it on the top. Now we put the lid down. That one is ready to go in the canner. There you have it. Lemon juice and salt at the bottom. Tomatoes here. Sometimes I just do this to kind of get the salt kind of distributed a little bit, but I could probably even fit 1 more tomato in there, but that's good. 7 bottles, because that's the size of our canner. And you want to have enough boiling water to cover. These are nice hefty bottles, so this one's not actually covered. We're gonna have to see if we can fit it in there. And then you're gonna put a lid on it, so you bring it to a boil, and then here in Utah and Ogden, you need 55 minutes to process these. And so you have to figure it out depending on your elevation. So you can call the extension office in your area wherever you are, or you can get a canning book and it tells you, but anyway, it has to be for a certain amount of time, and here it's 55 minutes for tomatoes. And it's different for different products. Like I'm gonna be doing some spicy pear jam and it's only 10 minutes, so it's really fast. But for tomatoes, this is the most time-consuming part, is processing, and that's to make sure that the tomato inside has no living spores or bacteria or anything that would cause disease as it's sitting on the shelf, because you want all that dead. And that's why we leave them in there so long, and then it's good for until you use it. At least a year, probably longer. I've used them much over a few years. So we're just gonna go ahead and put the lid on this. And I've got the timer set for 55 minutes, and then after that we'll take them out and they will be processed and ready to be stored for however long.